get started. What's that?
We don't have a mic tonight.
No, there's no microphone tonight, so
There's seats up here.
come to the front. I invite you to come up. There's nobody gonna bite you up here. But if you can't hear very well, just move up. I'm gonna try and talk as loud as possible and maintain that. And just stick your hand to your ear if it goes quiet, and I'll remember to speak up again. And just really thank you to each and every one of you that come out again for this. It does demonstrate that you care. You care a lot about how things go.
That was the second one.
And as, just very briefly, we have not been able to meet as a newly elected board. We have not been able to meet all together and form a new board, nor did we exactly feel it was appropriate to do so until after this AGM. There isn't really a precedent that we could find to draw on to operate in the interim like this. It's not like something like this has necessarily happened before. So out of respect for all parties involved, we thought maybe this would be best. So we came up with, I allowed myself to chair this meeting. I discussed this with Stan as well, and he had agreed. Thank you, Stan. And we just really wish for this event to go down as per the mission statement. Okay. Now, to begin with, I am going to invite each one of the new board members, or I should say the members on this new board, to just once again stand up and introduce themselves, who they are, and what they're committed to. Now that might be a stretch for them to state that last part. That's what just introduce yourself and say anything you've got to say. Why don't we start over here with Clint?
I think we should start with the chair.
Oh, thank you. Okay, okay, some of you may know me, but my dad bought the Warden Meat Shop from Huey Charles way back in the day, and I just came here when I was 10 years old. And I'm just a young shaver, but I grew up in the Mennonite culture, of which I have left. Not that that means anything to the rest of you, but just in case you think I'm still a part of the colony, I'm not. But I dearly love all those people. And now I have operated Auto Trust, which is a repair shop here in town, for the last 17 years. Very much enjoy being a part of the community. I am the mechanical, my contribution to this society, other than this, would be in just helping Dave keeping the things like the Model A's and T's running. He and I collaborate on, I've inspected most of his old creatures that are running around the road, so I don't know anything about an elevator, but I am keenly interested in the way history teaches young people how to work in a community. And that's something that I see is missing in our society today, and this is one way that we can keep it preserved and going. So I'm here in whatever capacity I can fill and serve the board, the society. Okay. Clint, and why don't you come stand here and holler?
Come stand up there.
Stand here and holler.
Throw it in the fire right away.
Yep.
I'm Clint Neeland. Grew up in Dunelda, went to school in Stettler here. Been a carpenter pretty much my whole life. A few other odds and ends we've done. So I see myself helping out with the society and the building with the preservation part and the building end, and bringing my expertise to bear in that, and helping out the board in any decisions they have to do in that end of things. So thank you.
Norm, come on up.
Good evening. My name's Norman Storch. I'm 72 years old. I'm an active farmer at Garden Plain, Alberta. Garden Plain is just west of Spondon and just east of Scapa. So that should situate it pretty well for you, I think. If any of you drive down Highway 36, you will see a silhouette of a black plywood cowboy sitting on a horse. Not a black cowboy. How do I phrase that? Anyway, it's a silhouette. And and from that corner I live a mile east and a mile south. So if anybody's going by there and you have trouble, don't be afraid to stop in. I was 6 years old when the 3 wooden elevators were moved from Garden Plain, and the country store and post office closed. My dad was opposed to closing those country elevators, and we have seen that succession of closures continue, and the consolidation of the concrete elevators and the concentration of the grain companies. And I feel it's extremely important for us to remember our history. Whenever my relatives come up from California, I always, in the past, have been able to bring them up to Stettler, to your thrashing demonstration, and to view the elevator and to come to your pancake breakfasts. I greatly admire the work that has been done here in Stettler in that regard, and I would like to offer my help in any way that I can to continue to support that and make sure that this elevator is in fact preserved and its actions relate to the community. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thanks, Norm.
Joey Boxma. I'm a Stettler kid. Went to high school here. Mrs. Goodwin taught me. To me, the elevator, well, there's 2 reasons why I'm here. One is because my dad worked at an elevator. He was at the Helkirk elevator before it closed. So there's a little bit of sentimentalness there. And then the fact that my son, who's 11, never met my dad, so he likes that too. But then the other thing is, this is the kind of thing I do for fun. So for fun, I coach high school basketball, and I like tinkering with old stuff. So whether it's the machines, so I think I'll have to fight Brad on who gets to fix the machines at the elevator. But the elevator itself is cool too. So it's fun. It's fun, and it's good for the community. It's good. It's a good lesson for my son, and that's more why I'm here.
Thanks, Joey. Jen.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Taylor. I think I know most of you, but my family's been in Stettler for a long time. I have lots of relatives here. And my introduction to the grain elevator was back in 2015 when I worked as a summer student. And so that kind of initiated my love for the elevator. I was very much involved in giving tours and working at the snack shop over the summer with the train. And I just got so much joy from being involved in that history. So I'm hoping to be able to help out in terms of the board and learning more about kind of board direction and where we can go from here. And yeah, willing to assist in whatever way I can. So thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Brandy.
I'm Brandy Page. I grew up here in Stettler. Mrs. Goodwin taught me too. You know everybody, come on. I have 25 years experience in hospitality. The last 10 of that was in tourism and hospitality. I've had the pleasure of working with Stan over at the elevator, helping out with various activities, very active volunteer in the community. Showcasing our town is what I love to do, helping our town is what I love to do. So since leaving hospitality, I'm now an agriculture banker, because what could be more fun than playing with the Agriculture Society? Sorry, I'm not loud, I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm here, I'm just dedicated to trying to help preserve the elevator, and let's keep this moving forward, keep the tourism coming into our town, because that is a big pivotal part of it. So.
Thanks, Brandy. Peter.
Good evening. My name is Peter Miller. My wife Ruby and I moved here to Stettler in 2020 from Forsberg, where I taught school. Mrs. Goodwin, yeah. Anyway, 3 of our 4 kids live in Stettler. 8 out of our 10 grandkids are in Stettler, which made an obvious choice to come here, right? So we've really enjoyed our 4 or 5 years here. I grew up on a small farm just this side of the Saskatchewan border, down Highway 12, and infrequently when we got to go to town, because I'm pretty old, right? So in those years there was not much traveling, but the elevators were always a pleasant sight when you got to within 3 or 4 miles of the town, right? And so it was always a part of my heritage, and I want to try to pass that on to any future generation. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, Peter. Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy Robinson. I started with the elevator back in, I think it was 2019. My son needed to do some volunteer work. We went the very first day, stayed 8 hours, and have been going back ever since volunteering. It's been fun, and we'd like to keep going on it. My son is not with us here right now. He is out in Ontario, but yeah, we'd like to keep it going and for a long time have this elevator, because I've heard so much about it, and I think hopefully we can move forward and continue having it as one of the landmarks in our town. Thanks.
Thank you, Tracy. Verna? Yeah.
I've gathered you all together here. Been a funeral director here in this town for 30 years and 5 years in the States. I've been the vice chair for a few years. I grew up on the train station, then I got married, and we moved to elevator to elevator to elevator. I have cleaned out a lot of legs, I've cleaned out a lot of boots, and I've always loved the elevator. So I think it needs to continue on as a great tourist place for people to come.
Thank you, Verna. Okay, and I gotta just admit that this responsibility has been making me nervous. Anyway, what I get, and I would just like to just share a little with you. It is no surprise that we are where we are, given we are human beings prone to the things that we tend to do. And if we could all follow the second commandment, which is to love our neighbor as ourselves, to a T, we probably wouldn't have any troubles whatsoever in this world. But nonetheless, we are all prone not to do that. What I observed, I would like to put it this way. Most of us are operating from, it's very easy to, we operate from a place of fear. We are scared of losing something. And in conversation with each one of the stakeholders, and with, like, when Dave Goodwin initially talked to me about this, I could hear there is a risk of losing something. Everyone experiences a risk of losing something. What you've invested in it, what you've put into it. And like even for Stan, he's invested so much into it in his whole life, and he cares deeply about it. Most of you do. I just say all of you do. And what happens is we can very easily come from a place of fear. Now, when we do that, it is just like having a colored set of glasses on, and everything you see through that lens occurs a certain way. And my invitation for us, I have a lot of confidence in this new board, even though we have not met and talked much. But my invitation for all of us is to just take off our glasses, clean the lenses, and step into what is possible. Now, when we come from fear, we operate and we communicate from a place of protecting and defending, and that has its place. My invitation for us is to step into gratitude, sharing, and caring, and recognizing that every one of us is deeply interested in having this work for the greater good. And each one of us has a way which we think would be ideal. It just may not be the next guy's ideal. But together, I think we are going to, I have a lot of confidence that this board is going to be able to collect the input from the crowd, from the members, and put together something that really works to fulfill on this. Anyway, that is really all that I've got to say. Just the past is in the past, and let's move forward from gratitude, from caring, and I forget now what else I said, but I think you heard it. and out of mutual respect for like recognizing everybody has invested a lot in this. And let's be responsible and steward that investment well. Now, if I may impose it, it's not on the agenda, but I did it last time too. I am going to have a simple prayer, and then we will begin the meeting. Heavenly Father, we ask for your presence. In fact, as you promised that you were here everywhere. But we ask your blessing on our conversation, and teach us, Father, what it is to love our neighbor as ourselves. And help us all, each one of us, to be calm, to be quiet, to be forgiving. And Father, teach us what it is to really forgive. And there are things that we just won't be able to handle, and that's okay. We will get it taken care of. We just ask your presence here in the name of Jesus. Amen. Okay. Now, does anyone still have a copy of your agenda from last meeting? Okay. There's a few of them around. I still have a copy. Does anybody request a copy? There's not many items left on it. Okay. And I believe what Taylor Jen had recorded with the minutes is that we had moved up to item number 9, which was new business. And the first item on there was the return of records to the office. And I think there was just a little bit of discussion on that. And is there anything, I should say, from a board's perspective, like again, hang on, I should just back up one more thing. We as a board intend to meet after this meeting is adjourned. We're going to meet directly after and choose the
Executive Committee.
The Executive Committee, there we go. So up until this point, we don't have that, but the intention of the new board would be to work together with Stan and the accountants to bring all the paperwork together. That is our intention.
You might mention that Tracy and Verna have been volunteering their time to carry out the function of secretary and treasurer in the meantime.
Yes, correct. I thank you for acknowledging that.
So, Barbara Lynn Goodwin, Stettler. Can I just qualify or determine the records mean the minutes from previous meetings and treasurer's reports from earlier meetings, or the records we're talking about? Or are there other records that we need to make sure are in the office?
The treasurer or the secretary may be able to answer that.
The meeting minutes were there. I think there's those records plus other records that need to be in the society's head office, yes.
So.
And that head office is at the elevator, is it?
Yes.
At this point, I do believe that's what we are referring to as the way it is the office at the elevator. And I am not personally aware of what all is there or should be there or is not there. And we are going to find that out to see what is appropriate. But I would understand records are the financial and minutes and, you know, any other official documents that need to remain in that registered place, I assume. But yes, Barbara?
So that would include any policies or bylaws that relate to the nonprofit society as well?
I would make the assumption that that should be there.
Yes.
Like, yeah, yeah.
And that's open to all members, any one of us who chooses to see those documents at any time, is it?
That's why they're supposed to be
Yeah.
in that office, so
Yes,
that any
that's
member at
my,
any time.
Yeah.
correct, my understanding.
So, yes,
There is usually a process in place to do that. A letter, a written, a phone call. It's not really logical that anybody could show up at any hour and just have access to everything.
Yeah.
Any reasonable time.
And there has to be some sort of supervision. We don't want things to go missing. So it isn't just open to carte blanche, no. But there is the opportunity for members to view any pertinent documents, yes. Nothing should be hidden or not be made available,
Yes, thank you.
within reason.
Yeah, thank you.
does that
It
answer your question? Okay,
Thank you.
okay, good. Yes, please.
Carol Hall. So they're not there now, or where are they?
Well,
Where would they be?
so I cannot answer that directly. Now, I would just speak
Somebody
to,
that is
The 2023 documents that for the invoices are in a locked cabinet in Eric's office. The 2024 are with the auditor, or the accountant, sorry, not the auditor, but the accountant right now. And the 2025s, there are some of them that are in that black cabinet that are in there. It is not locked, which could be an issue. Those are the invoices that are there. As for the meeting minutes, they were in there. I don't know if they're still there or not now. I don't have access to them.
You don't have access to your own documents?
No, the offices were, all the locks were changed on all of the buildings.
so, yeah, so there would be though, like was just mentioned here that Norm mentioned, is that there can be appropriate times with which to view them. I would say with respect to that, given the current circumstances that we're operating in, we can make that arrangement with Stan to have it available and go in and look at those.
Once they're returned.
Yeah.
Once they're returned. But
Yeah.
apparently they're not returned and haven't been for a while.
Well,
No, the 2023s are sitting in there.
yeah,
They're in a locked
Well,
cabinet.
We're
so-
2025 right now.
I know, the 2024
yeah.
is with the accountant
Yeah.
right now.
Are there not copies?
But
That's the only copy? The accountant has everything?
In this case, for 2024, yes.
Yeah.
I think there should be copies.
Yeah.
There shouldn't.
Well,
What happens if
Yeah.
those disappear for some reason? You got nothing?
Well, that can happen at anything with there. So,
That's why
yeah,
we
we
keep
need, that's
copies.
something the new board needs to.
Yeah.
so good point made to make copies, and I think that's something that we can add into our, I assume Jen has got that added, we can move forward so we can operate in fashion that there always are copies. Yes, I don't know your name, but please speak up.
I'm Kathy Reardon.
Okay.
I just want to be a nobody, but Mrs. Goodwin did teach my kids in school.
Okay, well,
I just.
Sorry, Mrs.
let's
Goodwin.
not-
Sorry.
Let's not get
I
this
did.
out of proportion this
Yeah.
meeting. We're all going to stay calm. I loved your speech at the beginning. Kudos for coming up with that. We know this is an issue.
yeah,
I would like to see the board take it away and get it
Yeah.
resolved.
yeah,
Agreed.
I would like to make mention that Stan and I did discuss this maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, that we do want to make digital copies of everything in there. So that is something that he is committed to working with myself on, as having made digital databases multiple times. So the plan is in place. We were just waiting for the new board to get everything set up first.
okay. Thank you. Mrs. Goodwin?
Mr. Chairman, just a point of order.
Yeah.
I would ask with respect that anyone who wishes to speak at the meeting would hold their hand up and be recognized by the chair. And no other person speak without recognition from the chair.
Thank you for bringing that up, Mrs. Goodwin. That was a point that I was going to establish earlier, and thank you for that. And if you can all be gracious with me, I am going to try and practice this. Now, I just know I have not led a lot of meetings, not like some of you have, and I will try this. I think that it would work well for our due process and order to have it work that way. Thank you. Okay. So, to summarize, the intention of the new board is to collect together with Stan all of the information and bring that together so that we can be responsible and account for everything, and everyone can have their concerns, because I understand behind that comment there is a concern, and we want to have that cleared up with respect to everyone. Okay. Does that conclude that item, or is there any motion to be made out of this point?
Just a point of information, Dave Goodwin.
Please.
Point of information, Stan has returned the documents that he held. He had returned those. Apparently, there was some issues about getting the other documents back at this point, but he had returned those at one point. I'm not sure if they're still there or whether he took them back because there was no security, but he did change the lock, so there is now security on that. He is available, just to let everybody know. Stan is available usually on every Saturday. He's there around 10 o'clock until about 3 o'clock every Saturday, so yeah. Any access that needed to be done would be during that time, be no problem whatsoever. And I can talk to you about that very thing.
Yeah. So this is Norm. You have something you want to speak to?
Brad, it might be appropriate to have a motion from the floor to direct the new board, when formed, to make sure that the bylaws are followed in terms of the storage and security of appropriate documents. That would then direct the new board to take that action. I would make that motion.
Okay. Okay, Norm makes the motion, Barbara seconds it. Mrs. Goodwin seconds that.
Barbara Lynn Goodwin.
Okay. Okay.
Call for discussion.
Then is there, then now we can call for discussion on that point. Yes, please.
My understanding is that the bylaws are very
Vague.
yeah. And new bylaws were being put in, are being created and decided, you know, to be decided on and put into practice. So how are we going to go about?
Well, to speak directly to that point, we are, the bylaws, the point on the agenda, and that's one other thing I messed up, is I should have read over what the agenda was. The points on the agenda for tonight. So to directly answer your question, we're going to be coming to that shortly. So this, but yeah, this motion, that was seconded. And is there any other discussion around that motion? Yes, Dave.
Just in regards to that, since the bylaws have not been passed, and since the motion indicated what was in the bylaws, if I heard you correctly, then I think you'd have to wait until the bylaws are passed to make a decision on that motion.
If I could.
If you just
I want to respond.
Okay, respond to that, and then we got another comment down there. So yes, respond to that, Norm.
Yeah, Dave, my motion was vague enough to suggest that it was not these bylaws we had to accomplish, but it was the bylaws of the society. So when this board has an opportunity to deal with that, and that does not preclude the new board from making efforts to move in that direction, to secure them, get things in a pile, and sort them through, make copies if it's necessary, whatever needs to be done. And then in terms of, I think I did say in terms of storage and security, we would deal with that at that point. It doesn't mean we couldn't put a padlock on them right now. So I don't think we were limited by that motion.
Mr. Long, please.
On a motion, it better be the bylaws that are in existence now, not the bylaws that may be later on.
Well, you.
Yep.
So if we're voting on that motion is on the existing bylaws.
Yeah. Yes, by default, Jim, right? Yes, perfect. By default, that would be, the bylaws that are in existence are the bylaws up until anything else is amended, approved, and as I understand, they have to be approved by the registrars in Edmonton or the Societies Act, so there's two approvals that must come about before they become our operating bylaws. Yeah, so we will speak to that in a moment. Is there any other discussion that needs to be had around this motion?
Well, I just,
Joey?
I mean, somebody else jump in if that's okay, but are there not like generic, like as a society, these minutes and these statements have to be, because I'm just perusing these very quickly and I don't think there's anything directly speaking to that, but as a society, do they not have to, like records have to be stored and financials have to be stored? So if we could amend Norm's motion to reflect that, then we'd be good regardless what bylaws happen in the future.
You are correct, Joey. Based off of where your registered office is, that is where all of these documents have to be maintained at all times. And the registered registered office for this society is located at the P&H elevator in the yellow building. So it doesn't actually need to be in the bylaws to state that because it's under the governance of how to run a non-for-profit.
Yeah. There is, the Societies Act has a set of regulations that are like in place, and when we make bylaws, it is in addition to those, or where they directly would, eliminate something. But there are some of those basics that are simply a precedent. You don't go around that unless, yeah. Okay, and yes, please.
Hi. I'm Kirsten Doherty, and I think that the motion should be also amended to include a time frame of when the records are going to be returned, and potentially also how will we hold the different parties accountable for actually bringing back the records and making sure that this is actually accomplished.
So if I'm hearing you right, what the amendments you're proposing is that there be a time limit, like I would say a by when will they be done, and then who is accountable to ensure that that happens by then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I second that amendment, if that's what she's proposing.
Okay.
James Hall.
James Hall. Okay. Yeah. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah.
Clint.
One question I would have is, who has access at the moment to that particular office? Keys wise?
Well,
do any of the board members have a key to that room and access to them records, or is that just Stan at the moment, or?
It's solely Stan at the moment, so point of information. Reason that the locks were changed on all the buildings is there's a number of keys that are floating around and there's absolutely no record as to who had any of these keys, causing a serious security concern. So Stan did do the right thing by changing the locks and securing the facilities, as there has been suspected of people going in without informing and removing items from there. And I do know that this has happened, having done inventory with Stan when there was a few items missing. So yes, they were changed. Right now Stan is the only one with keys. Once we have an established board, then we will make arrangements with Stan so we know where keys are, so they're not just all out all willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So can yes, Norm?
Mover of the original motion does have an opportunity to speak to an amendment.
Yeah, okay.
When I came to the first part of the AGM, I came out of interest and support for the elevator. It became fairly clear to me fairly early on in that AGM that there were some various points of view on procedure and process and some difficulty. The only reason that I chose to let my name stand was because I thought I might be able to help, perhaps as an outsider, someone with no or little baggage. I appreciate your amendment, but I would beg that you allow the new board a little bit of time with as few constraints as possible. We have to get to know each other. We have to be able to talk to Stan at some point and find out what we can accomplish and how best to have it done. And we just may not be able to meet a time frame, unless, of course, you wanted to make it 5 years or something, which would then preclude any value in the motion. So I would beg you to please reconsider, allow that motion to stand. The motion is the spirit of the motion is to do exactly what you want to have done. We're just not, as a new board, exactly sure how to do it just yet. And I would suspect that at some point with some discussion with Stan, it will become very clear as to which cabinet with which lock, behind which door and which key, and it will just naturally happen.
We also have no idea what's missing, because none of us have been there.
So I would just ask if you give us a little bit of time, please. We are new, and things are going to move a little more quickly, I think, than they have in the past.
Jenny, do you have an amended motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just amended to add a time frame
Okay.
to the original motion. So I have the motion as the new board taking accountability for ensuring proper records are in the office as
I personally don't have a problem with a time frame as long as it's realistic.
Yeah, I think that
30
I would like
days, we're not
30
going to be able
days
to do that. Just because none of us really have any idea of what we need to find.
Could I just reread, sir? Okay. So the amendment so far is a motion, well, hang on, this might be.
This is the original one.
Okay, the original motion was that the new board take accountability for ensuring proper records are in the office as per the bylaws. And the amendment is to add a time frame, and Norm just spoke to that, not to have the constraint. Brandy spoke to having it a reasonable time frame. Now, my question to us as a board is, what do we propose would be a reasonable time frame to put on there?
Impossible to know.
Until we actually know what's missing.
We can get it done within a year.
Go ahead.
Could we not, even if not all of the records for some reason are available, could we not put a time frame on progress being made and the records that are available being returned? Because I know that there used to be binders full of all the minutes back to 2005 in the office. Like, those have to be somewhere. So when they're found, they should be returned immediately, not in a year.
So what I'm hearing is that we could amend this motion to say that in 30 days, we could have a report go out to the membership of our progress. And let's just say that I would suggest that we had, similar to a monthly newsletter, we could have a 30-day report, or a monthly report on the progress as to this. Would that take care of the concerns? Yes, Barbara.
Barbara Lynn, I would agree with that a regular update to the entire membership, not all of us are here, but to the entire membership via email every month would help with the transparency and would help all of us feel much more a part of the governing process having to do with the P&H elevator.
Yeah, I would I would agree, and that is a motion actually, or something that we can bring up to include in our regular communications. I see that as something very vital to this new board gaining the confidence of the membership. Yes, please.
I would also like to suggest that these notices of the newsletters, or however you're communicating with the membership, should also be given by paper copies to the memberships who do not have email on file, because I know some of them, for example, were not informed about this meeting because it was by email.
So there, yes. Can I just speak to that briefly? There is a technical issue that we have using the free version of Google. When we send out repeated or many emails that have the same content, the spam thing catches it and blocks it from sending. So I'm not much of a technical guru, but I think we've got somebody who can help us with that, because that is the problem that why most of us did not get the emails in a timely fashion, is that account was blocked from sending. Yes?
Yes, but also there are some people that are members of the society who are maybe older or just not technologically inclined, who do not use email, and I think they still deserve to be informed about what's going on.
And I would think the membership list would have, if you have an email or not, right? So that we can just do it that way.
It should be very easy once we get the membership list.
Okay, so we will, we've got that point noted, and we can, as a board, we can bring that up, and we will table that to one of our next meetings so that we can get that issue resolved for that cause. Yes, Norm?
We do have a motion and a amendment to a motion. The amendment needs to be voted on, and we're probably 2 or 3 items down the agenda now.
Thank you.
So we should try to move back and deal with those motions.
Okay.
And the amendment.
Yes, let's,
Yeah, so it's this one.
Did you want to put a definite date on that? Sometime in the future is kind of nebulous, right? What does that mean? So could I suggest the end of June, June 30th? Gives us a month and a half.
Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, to start this collection of the material that we want to make sure we have.
To have the update ready that we have started the collection.
Yeah.
Yes, Norm?
Forgive me again, but I beg for some leniency for the new board. We are all volunteers. We don't have a paid secretary. We don't have a paid treasurer within the new board structure. So please, I know that you're eager to have things happen in a more progressive, in a more positive way, but please give us some time. We can send you out a report and say we have nothing to report. What's the point? So if you could just please give us a little time. It's a very small town. You will hear very quickly what's going on. And as soon as the board has something positive to bring forward to the membership, I can assure you that we'll shout it from the hilltops. We just need to have some time to do that.
Carol Hall, what time would you give then?
If it were me, I'd give us 6 months
To just find the records?
to give you a positive report.
Give me any report, even if I haven't found the records yet, in 6 weeks, the end of June. That's a report.
Sure, yep, no doubt. If you're satisfied with
I
that.
feel that's a reasonable request, absolutely.
So, yes, Greg?
But I would just ask Sid more on the or you have to forgive me, I'm new to the boards and everything. As your addendum, if you would want to retract that, change it so the 30-day thing, the report, or just a simple report every 30 days sort of thing, that's something that could probably happen. Like you said, there might be nothing on it, or we've only done this, like Norm says, give us some time. But every 30 days, we could put out something, and then it doesn't put a definite timeline on it, but it does put a definite time on the updating of everybody, if that were better.
Yes.
like the idea of the end of the month. The reason is because if we're gonna carry on with continuing our meetings, the middle of that month, that gives the membership time to read the report prior to the meeting, so that if there is any concerns, you have time to notify us that you want it added to the agenda.
Yeah.
So then it's not being brought up at the meeting, you can bring it up beforehand.
Okay.
That's
What,
logical.
what I would like to do is I'm just gonna bring us back to, read the motion and the amendment to it. Motion that the new board take accountability for ensuring proper records are in the office as per the bylaw. Amended that the motion say that in 30 days, we will have a report go out to the membership with our progress. The first update by the end of June and again at the end of every month.
You have to vote on the amendment first.
I'm gonna get schooled on this. Okay.
The amendment is somewhat redundant.
sorry,
yeah,
At one
yeah,
point, it
yeah.
says the end of the month, and then 30 days.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, well, she just amends that. I have, Barbara Lynn, if you can just hold a moment. Sean?
Yes, amend the motion to say that the first update.
Is the executive gonna meet
June
monthly?
again, end of every month, yes.
Yet to be determined, but
It's-
that's the history.
It's yet to be determined, but that was our intention.
Because if the executive meets monthly, you have an agenda for each meeting, leave it as an open item on the agenda, so that you can have updates on it, and because after your meeting, the secretary will send out all the meeting minutes to all the members, as opposed to overcomplicating it and doing a monthly board
Yeah.
report, because those go out anyways, so if you meet monthly, you can always have a progress report, because it's an open item on the agenda until it's actually resolved.
Yeah,
And that's under old item.
yeah,
And then, once those minutes are attached, they're always on there. And regardless of what's going on, instead of putting a skip time frame, which is gonna run the roadblock,
Yeah.
things out of place, but at least you have an order of things that are happening, so you can see where the progress is, without overcomplicating.
yeah. Okay,
This is a,
okay. So, well, then let's have a, yes, Barbara Lynn?
Just as seconder to the amendment, I approve the amendment. So,
Which amendment, because now we have to.
that, yes, to the 30 days, well, the end of June, and then
Every month thereafter.
every month thereafter.
Okay, so can we have a vote on those amendments? All those with pink cards are eligible to vote in this meeting. I request that you, I will read the amendment again. We amend the motion to say that the first update by the end of June 2025 and again at the end of every month. All in favor? Okay, any not in favor?
One opposed.
Okay, one opposed.
Make sure you.
Okay, the motion carried with one opposed. Thank you for that. Okay, then,
Vote on the motion.
now we will vote on the motion. And I'll read the motion again. The motion that the new board take accountability for ensuring proper records are in the office as per the bylaws. All in favor?
At the amendment.
Oh,
You had a second.
No, Barbara Lynn made the motion. Oh, no.
Norman made the motion, Barbara Lynn seconded.
Okay,
okay,
So we can vote.
yeah, we have a second.
okay.
But that isn't the entire motion. The entire motion now includes the amendment.
Okay, so the entire motion is that the motion that the new board take accountability for ensuring proper records are in the office as per the bylaws, and that the first update will be on the end of June 2025 and again at the end of every month. All in favor of that? Any opposed? One opposed, two opposed. Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, the next item is item B, no secret ballots to be used in this meeting. Now, I really, if you just hold a moment, Dave.
That was from the vote for the board.
What's that?
That was part of the vote for the board.
Okay, so Now, so one of the things, as chair of this, I'm a little unclear on exactly what it is, and it's, but I think one of my questions for this would be to just clear, because this was a part of the Dave, your agenda? Okay. Was it, one point that I would just like to have, you can speak to it, was it for this meeting or meetings in general? Okay. Speak to it, please.
I'll just clarify that for everyone here. There was, on the original agenda, there was an indication that there would be a secret ballot motion to basically remove Stan from the society. And that was to be on secret ballots. And at that point, since Stan was chair, he refused to do that. So that's why it was included in here as there would be no secret ballots for that. If people aren't willing to show their hands or their cards, in this case, then it was not worth having that. So that's why that note was in there, just so that there was no clarification on, or no misunderstanding on how that motion later on regarding his being taken out of the society altogether was going to be passed. So that's why it was there. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, so really at this point,
It's redundant.
is it redundant? I would feel it's redundant at this point, no?
No, because it comes under special resolution, termination of society membership. That's where the secret ballot was supposed to be held, and it was not going to be held if we accept this. And this agenda was accepted.
Yeah, okay. So,
There's nothing to do.
No. Carry on.
No action.
Nothing.
okay, no motion to be made?
No.
Okay. Alrighty then. Then we'll move on to item C, which is, you know what, and did I fail? I said it before, and I didn't read off the items left on the agenda. Let me just do that now for clarification. So the next item is possible mission statement change. Then that's item C. Then item D is bylaws. Then item E is special resolution, termination of society membership. Then item 10 is adjournment. So just to be clear, where we are at item C, possible mission statement change, followed by bylaws and special resolution. And our intention is to not be here all night, so it'll be I'm going to try and really elicit your help as a whole membership to keep it concise and to the point. Okay, possible mission statement change. Is anyone prepared to speak to this? Dave, go for it.
Sorry, I do not need to take things over. The mission statements, as originally published in the pamphlet that the P&H Elevator has been putting out for years and years and years, are perfectly fine. And when I did bylaws, many of you know that, okay? When I did that, I used those items. There's actually 4 of them on that mission statement. There was an indication that the previous board wanted to change that, and I saw no need to it, so that's why it's on the agenda here. It would be a vote here whether or not you wanted to change that. In that case, you need to look at both the original and the proposed items in terms of that. So you have to look at that, but look at both of them. I think that a decision can be made here. It must be made at an AGM, so that's why it has to be on the agenda.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes, please.
Point of information and clarification. Dale Robinson. The previous board did put together a mission statement. Just for everybody's knowledge, a mission statement is a responsibility of the board to have something to follow. It was on this particular agenda as a information piece. It was not a voting thing. To clarify Dave's point, though, you are a little incorrect in that the 3 items mentioned were in fact the objects of the society as registered with the society's, under the Societies Act with corporate registry. So the board was not in possession of an actual properly phrased, useful mission statement. The past board chose to do one. the membership is not obligated to vote on it. The current board, to be fair, is not obligated to follow it. They are welcome to meet 5 minutes after this meeting and develop their own and put it out, because the board is entrusted by the membership to run the society, and the mission statement is a guiding principle for it. They can't counter, or they can't go against the objects that are printed in the Constitution of the society. But the mission statement was a more user-friendly way of giving them a basis for working. So if anybody here wishes to sit and debate the mission statement, we can find a copy, we can read it out, we can have that debate. Or, and I will be blunt, there is a fair number of people that have gone to great trouble to disrespect the actions of the previous board. Just wanted to clarify that this was a function that they were entrusted to do and have done so. So the new board is quite welcome to go ahead and set their own, like I said, 5 minutes after this meeting is over. But that was included on the agenda as an information item. It was not a vote or a debate. If the membership wishes to debate it, then talk to Brad and go for it.
Well, I guess if there is, you know, if that is the desire that someone could make a motion to bring that up, but I don't know if this is my place as a chair, but I would certainly, I would request your confidence in this board to review this mission statement, and we will discuss it and bring back to you our recommendations. Yes, please.
Read out the mission statement.
Let me, you have it.
I'll read it.
Mrs. Mappin, could you read it, please?
Thank you, Anita.
The Stettler P&H Preservation Society believes that the P&H elevator should be preserved as an historic artifact and is committed to pursuing agricultural knowledge, both past and present, in cooperation with other community groups. The Society is prepared to assist the owners of the P&H elevator from time to time by providing volunteer and financial assistance through volunteer fundraisers and the acceptance of charitable donations and gifts.
That's not the original.
Yeah.
I was going to say that doesn't. Can we hear the original? Because that doesn't sound like the one I read.
Very close to the other one, but this is the.
Okay, Dave, would it be in the binder you gave me?
It is.
Well, can you locate it?
You know your binder better.
Sorry. Sorry, folks. I didn't bring my copies of this.
I haven't taken anything out of there yet, Dave.
No, that's your version, this is the Constitution. Those are the objects of the society.
So where are these, where
That is registered with corporate registration and the objects of the society, and that is what's going to be registered. Those are the objects.
Mission statement?
No.
I understand.
Point of information that is what has been operated on. That's,
Okay.
can you accept
I
that?
understand you've got your, yeah. Okay.
If the mission statements that I came up with, and they were following through what he has, what Mr. Robinson has come up with here. We had the original purposes of the society, which are basically the mission statement of the society. And I just kept those in place. I did reword them slightly, but just to make it clear. The first one was to restore and preserve the P&H elevator complex. Second one, restore and preserve agriculture heritage building and equipment, which I believe is also there. Third one, educate present and future generations regarding present and past prairie agriculture. And the last one, which was not there, but I put it in there, was demonstrate past prairie agricultural practices with the restored equipment.
Which is from the website, that last one.
So those are the.
That last one is from the website.
That's all on the
That's right.
website.
It's on the website, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I can see here is that it would be beneficial for us to all be singing out of the same hymn book. Clint, go ahead.
I see this as kind of speaking to that a little bit, and with everything as we've got, and one of the main problems with the whole society, everything is we've got 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies of kind of everything, and that's, I think this board's main focus here is we're gonna have a straight line exactly, this is this, that's that, there won't be any of that, and that's gonna be one of the main focuses when it comes to mission statement, the books, everything with the new group here is to get all the P's and Q's in line, and so there is no this one or that one sort of thing, so please have confidence in the new board that that's gonna be one of the main focuses, so.
Dave?
I could make a suggestion, and you'd have to pass this as a motion, so I'll make it as a motion, that the board be given the right, I guess it would be the right to choose, when they have their meeting, their board meeting, to choose the mission statement. That normally would have to be done at an AGM, but if we give you the right to do that as an AGM, you can then go ahead and do that. That's my interpretation of the law, but that's, I hope it's correct.
You're correct based off of what it states in the current bylaws that state it has to be done at an AGM. So you are
Yeah.
correct, Dave. We can amend that right here with a motion.
That's right.
Clint?
I would make the motion to give the board permission to look at the bylaws, or not the bylaws, the mission statement and approve them as a board.
Okay, we have the motion made. Is anyone prepared to second it? Dale? Dale seconds it? Okay. Any further discussion to that?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
So we, and pardon my ignorance, but, so we don't have a mission statement? Like technically?
We do, we have
Yes.
multiple.
Not formally.
We have a couple.
No,
Is the
so,
problem.
but an official, like in the bylaws, mission statement?
It's,
Should we?
Yes.
Should we have had that?
You should
Yes.
have that.
But
So-
we don't.
We do have that. Stan has shown it to me. I know it is in records. I don't know where it is. So that's another one of the things that we need to find. But I do
So,
know it exists
just-
because I have seen it.
Point
Just-
of order, please
just-
hold your hand
yeah.
up and be recognized by the
Yeah.
chair.
thank you. And Norm, I'm gonna
She
speak.
sounds like a teacher.
She is. Norm?
A mission statement is not something that is listed as a bylaw. A mission statement is something that corporate entities spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on with consultants trying to get their employees all headed in the same direction. Does this sound familiar? So what we need to do with whatever that mission statement may become, we need to be able to have it so all-encompassing that everybody can buy into that mission statement. There's some good points in Dave's mission statement, or objectives. Anita had the fundraising part could certainly be part of that mission statement. So I would suggest that any action allowing, not mandating, but allowing this board to bring something back in the form of a mission statement, that would be very useful for this board. Without tying their hands with perhaps a time frame, or I think there are more important things to be dealt with than the mission statement. Nice to have, great to have, but I think there's some bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Mr. Robinson, you had your hand up before. Do you still want to speak to it?
No, actually, just covered.
Okay, okay.
Yes, it's not commonly incorporated in the bylaws.
Yeah, okay.
It is important.
Yes, please, and then there's one more in the back.
Eileen Schmidt.
Yes.
And I would just like to suggest that the word you would use is that the board would be given the authority to come back with the new mission statement.
Okay.
And I'd also suggest that perhaps some of the things that were mentioned about fundraising, that would come more under goals and objectives.
Correct.
Rather than
Okay.
being part of, you want the mission statement to be concise, like that, the 4 points, and then you get more into the extra items with goals and objectives.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name, but you had your hand up before. You still want to speak to it?
Oh, I don't see why we would be changing the original mission statement. There was this talk of vote about changing it. I don't understand why that would be done.
We may not. That's what we need to decide here, is we need to be given the authority to either keep the original or change it.
So, to speak to your question, I also don't know why it would necessarily want to be changed. I can't answer that for you right now. But what the motion was that we, as a board, could be given the authority to look at that and amend it, or if needed. Yeah, but as far as the reason why, I am not clear.
So Anita, this mission statement you have in front of you that you read out, where did that come from?
When the review committee met with us last year, excuse me, I should have brought the water with me. They suggested that we develop a new mission statement because we needed to be more involved in the community and get ourselves out there. And so we got together one night and did a jam session, and we all worked at putting together the words for it. And so we scribbled up on paper and finally all got put together. And that's what we came up with.
Did we have a
And
second?
so we were answering whatever the review committee had asked us to do.
Oh, that's right. Yes, he did. Okay. Okay.
I just didn't.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And there was nothing wrong with the one that was on the right, but we were asked to put a new one, so we did. Right?
James,
Yes.
please.
Yeah, I just have one concern about that mission statement that Anita read off, and that is the line that says, "The society is prepared to assist the owners of the P&H elevator from time to time by providing volunteer and financial assistance through volunteer fundraisers and the acceptance of charitable donations." I don't understand the society is prepared to assist the owners, financial assistance for this project. Isn't that the whole point of the society, is to provide financial, raise funds and rebuild the elevator and keep it up in shape?
That's true. But that's what we said we wanted to do, right, going forward.
Yeah,
Why
so
does it
just,
say from time to time?
okay.
Well, time to
Why
time,
isn't
we
it
don't do it
always?
all, well, it's just wording, right?
So
Wording
just
can be changed.
hold it for the moment, please. Point of order?
Point of order.
Okay, yes, thank you. So, yes, your concern is duly noted, James.
Yes.
And once again, let me read the amendment.
The amendment first, which was just.
I'll read the amendment. Amended to give the board authority to create the mission statement.
Yes.
Okay.
We need to vote on that.
Can we vote on that one? Okay, all in favor of that amendment? And any objections?
One, two.
Okay, 2 objections? Okay. And now I will read the motion again.
Just give her 1 second.
Okay, a motion that the board be given the right to choose during a board meeting the mission statement. Give the board,
Authority.
Yeah, give the board authority to look at the mission statement and approve them as a board. That is the motion. Was I clear with that? Shall I read it again? Okay. Dave motioned that the board be given the right to choose during a board meeting the mission statement. And the amendment is to give the board authority to look at the mission statement and approve them as a board. All in favor? Any opposed? Three opposed. Motion carried. Okay. Thank you. Oh, yes, Ray.
Ray Nealon, former board member. I guess I would like to clarify a couple of points. That I believe that the membership of this society needs to trust the people that are on the board of directors. Obviously, that was not the case with some members for the last board, which I was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that we did the best job that we could do under the circumstances. There was a lot of opposition to what we were trying to do to make things work properly.
Mm-hmm.
As to the point this gentleman made about the money, the money that comes in fundraisers, donations, whatever it is, to this society is in the hands of the board of directors of this society. It is not in the hands of the owner of the elevator. So, in my thinking, it is up to the board of directors to make the decisions as to where money is going to be spent on the elevator building or elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Very good. Mayor Knowles.
I just want to put a little clarification out there what an actual mission statement is. A mission statement is a philosophy and a focus. It's not a law. So when you have things in there, when it says accountability and things like that, that's a philosophy. When you put them in, not a law. It's so that when Brad's doing things 6 months from now, he can look at that mission statement every time he opens the package and say, this is my purpose. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. But it's not a law. So that's why specificities and mission statements are a little odd. But they're not laws. They're not things you have to abide by, so that the board can focus, society can focus and figure out what they're doing. So we shouldn't get bogged down in the details on those things because they don't matter, but they matter philosophically. So we can focus on what we're supposed to be doing as a society, as a board. But let's not get bogged down in details that don't matter. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, the mission statement, I can see you shaking your head, but it's a philosophy.
The details matter.
Well, no, I understand that, but you're getting bogged down in details that don't matter, because it is just a philosophy. You're not held accountable like a bylaw. And that's why we need to look at it so we can focus on it and use it to focus, but at the same time, it's not a law. So when the board adopts it, try to make it just the things like we want to be green, we want to be, not that we want to be green.
James.
I just want to say that I'm just one voice here, and if I'm outvoted, that's fine too. But I'm just pointing out some things here
Yeah.
that I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all.
And
So, you know,
And James, you bring up a very valid point, because if everybody was of the same mind, the thing goes one way very quickly. So having having two sides to it allows us to really look at both things. It's valuable, James, and by no means diminish yourself over it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And it's also going to be healthy if we as a board are not always agreeing with each other. If we all are in unison on everything, we're probably heavily biased one way. So, thank you. Okay. That concludes that part of it then. Now on to bylaws. So we had some email discussion just about how we as a board are going to proceed with this, and in looking at these two different, I shouldn't even say they're that much different, but in these two editions of proposed bylaws, I want to first of all recognize all of you who were involved in creating that. That is a lot of work, a lot of man hours that goes into that, and I acknowledge the work you've put forth. And we as a board don't really have the intention of trying to reinvent or do it all over again. And what I am as the chairman proposing on behalf of the board is that we take, because we are not familiar with these, as your new board, we're not familiar with these documents, and we would not be comfortable pushing us any one version or the other on you. We would like some time to go through these, and now also recognizing how important it is, and that is the intention for this AGM, was to do something about this. What we are proposing is that the authority of this AGM be given to this board to review this and call a special meeting in 3 or 4 months' time. I'm not sure exactly of a time period. That's what I had proposed, but obviously someone else needs to make a motion with that. And then we will put together this set of bylaws and the amendments that have been all put forth and submit it to the government for their approval. And then when we have their approval, and we can do it the other way around too, bring it back to you for your approval at the special meeting. Because to wait for the next AGM is too long. And to hammer it all out tonight is not feasible. And the other way that we could do it is put together the proposal and then bring it to you and then submit it to the government for approval. But if they don't approve something, we got to come back and amend it again at another meeting. So I would think it would be more efficient, a better use of our time and resources to do it the other way around. Now that is my recommendation. So that is what we are proposing as your new board. And I got to say, we haven't really had an official first meeting yet. Yes, Ray.
I will make a motion that we follow your recommendations to do with the bylaw.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
Amendment to that motion.
Yes, Jim?
The bylaws be sent out to the membership in advance of the meeting.
Right.
So that the membership has time to look over them, so when we come to the meeting, time is not wasted.
That is required in the bylaw.
Yeah, it is required.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yes, Jim, thank you for that. It is actually a requirement of the bylaws.
Yeah.
So I got that you made it as an amendment, but it's actually already there.
Okay.
Thank you, but good for, thank you for bringing that up. Did anyone second the, yes, Barbara Lynn?
I will second Ray's motion.
Thank you, Barbara Lynn. Yes, please.
I think it's important that we have the special meeting to look at the bylaws before they're presented to the government, because I think the society members deserve the chance to have a say. And yes, it might be more efficient, but the downfall then is if they come back with the approved bylaws, we don't get to make those amendments. It's already been approved.
Agreed.
So we need to have the meeting first.
That is a very fair point.
This is where you, as members of the society, get to have your input. So thank you for that. So then, what you are requesting is you're requesting an amendment. Jen and Brandy are concocting it here. When they are ready with it, I will review that for you.
But that's yeah. Nope. There you go. Okay, Brad, ready for your amendment.
Okay. The amendment is that we meet with the membership first prior to government approval.
Can we get a second there?
What's that?
I will second that. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
you
can
can.
second it, yeah.
Question to that
Yes.
before the That's all right. I'll word that, to send it out to everybody and then have a discussion. It would be an AGM or a special meeting to have a discussion. And if there was a discussion at that point to amend again, we would have to have another special meeting at that point to discuss those changes?
No.
Would we run into a chain of special meetings?
No.
Or it would be one more special meeting and then it would be approved by everybody in the society? Kind of thing? If there was no major disagreement with it, kind of thing. I just wouldn't want it to run into a major disagreement, then have another special meeting because we had to revise and so on and so forth. So
Essentially how it would work is that we would present these to the membership prior to the meeting, the special meeting. At that time, you have a chance to all review it prior to the special meeting. If I remember correctly in the bylaws, and please correct me, but I do believe it's a minimum of 14 days prior to the meeting, that this would be in your hands before the special meeting. At that time, we would make any discussion about if there was amendments that needed to be made to those bylaws as presented by the membership prior to it going to the government. So we wouldn't keep having meeting after meeting. It would all be decided, no. It'll need to be decided at that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you may not have been able to hear that conversation very well, but Jim and then Anita.
Well, Alf had his hand.
Brandon's clarified it.
Okay, and Anita?
No, Alf had his hand.
Okay, I just wanted to say that after working on the bylaws, we used 5 different organizations to do the bylaws. They didn't just come out of the air. There's been a lot of hours put into those bylaws, and bringing them to a general meeting would be very difficult to work on, because everybody has different opinions about what goes on in those bylaws. And so we used a format from the other organizations that they found worked very well. And I can't see bringing it back to a general, other than to read it, but to have people adding things into it is just going to cause, because it's bad enough with there was 3 or 4 of us on the committee, and we had enough trouble getting things through because we were always changing and wording and changing, and this won't work or that won't work, right? So, I mean, it's not perfect. It's a draft document of what we tried to do. So we were asked once again by the review committee to do that, and we spent a lot of minus 30-degree weather doing that. So a lot of hours.
Yeah. Thank you. And the other benefit to that, when you pull some of that from other societies, they already have had their bylaws approved, so you know the chances of that being rejected is very minimal. Elf, you had your hand up, please.
Just a point of order. The suggestion here was that the bylaws required 2 weeks' notice. That's not correct. It's 8 days, but I would sooner you use the 2 weeks or
okay. I would prefer to give you 14 days.
Just 8 days. I mean, there are things that should be changed in the old one, but
well, no one is likely to complain if it's more than 14 days. And also given the technical concerns we have with sending emails, mass emails out, we are going to need to tackle this thing well before the 14-day limit. So, we've got to come up with a solution that is reliable for getting communication out. Just might be postage. But even that's iffy. Horse and buggy then. Okay. So
theme of the elevator.
Yes. Okay. So I will read the amendment here. Actually, I'll just start with the motion and the amendment. That makes more sense. The motion that the members follow the board recommendation with regards to the bylaws. The amendment was to request that the board meet with membership first prior to government approval. Okay, and are we clear what that?
You need to add in there that we need to meet by special meeting.
Yeah, so as per the board's recommendation, what that was is we are going to set a special meeting. And we are asked, the motion essentially is that you give us the authority to set a special meeting which will be communicated as per the bylaws, which has got to be 21 days notice, I believe ahead of time, and preferably more than that. But if we set that at this meeting, then it holds the authority of the AGM to do so. Okay, is that ready to read now?
I think so.
Okay. The motion is that the members follow the board recommendation with regards to the bylaws. The amendment requests that the board, the first amendment requests that the board meet with membership first prior to government approval. The second is that we meet by special meeting. There's got to be a better way to write that, but in a hurry, I think that's okay. Okay, and this motion was, yeah, this motion was seconded by Barbara Lynn. So, are we ready to vote? Can we? Well, we'll vote on this. Yes.
Sorry, I just have a question. So the way that that is written, does that allow for like discussion and or at the special meeting, or is it just
Yes.
you're bringing it to us for approval?
The special meeting is going to be just like this.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is we are requesting to call the membership to come in for another one of these. And the intention of that special meeting is for this purpose. Without this, we have to wait until next year's AGM. So it'll be just like this. Yes, please.
Prior to the special meeting where we all come to discuss this, will the proposed ones that you folks have come together be sent so we can look at that first and then come to the meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be sent out a minimum of 14 days prior to the special meeting.
Yeah.
It'll be in your
Yeah.
hands a minimum 14 days prior.
Quite frankly, we want you to come in knowing what they are so that we can make clear and short work of this and actually have coffee, you know.
Coffee's good.
Yes, Ray.
Again, I would say, I think we as a membership of this society need to trust these people that we have put in these chairs up here.
Thank you, Ray.
When our government, we put people in there to do the same thing these people are doing. After that's done, they're there. We don't have too much to say anymore about what's going on after the fact.
Yeah.
So let's trust these people that they're doing what they say they're gonna do.
I acknowledge that, Ray, and together with that comes a very humbling responsibility to fulfill and prove that we are trustworthy. That.
Thank you, Ray.
Yes.
Thank you, Ray, for your confidence, perhaps somewhat misplaced. Because, and I appreciate I'm being a little bit flip here, because typically bylaws are not written by the general membership of an organization. General Motors, when they produce their bylaws, they have a floor full of lawyers that does it, and they don't ask the general membership, the stockholders, what the bylaws should be. So I find it rather interesting as an outsider to come to this meeting, and I see great interest in the minutia of the process. But nobody here this evening has asked how much it'll cost to fix the roof. Nobody has asked how much it would cost to get some more gravel. That's really what.
We didn't get an answer last time.
Well, that's what I'm here for. That's what I want to do. I want to help Stan fill the potholes with gravel. I want to help him fix the roof. And I hope that when we come back to the discussion about the bylaws, which we will do because there has been a motion from the membership, I would really hope that, as Anita said, we don't get, a bylaw is like a contract. Contracts are only as good as the two lawyers on each side arguing them, right? And one guy picks the other one apart, the other guy picks the other one apart, and the lawyers make money. So if we want to come back to a general membership meeting and talk about whether it should say a or the, which is more specific, really maybe what we should be thinking about is where do we have the next pancake breakfast? to raise some more money so we can help Stan paint something, or we can pay somebody to go fix a roof. That's why I just wanted to be part of this process. So I very much enjoy the discussion. It's obviously you folks are well aware of what's been done in the past. You're aware of bylaws, but I hope we can get ourselves to move on to the greater good. Thanks for listening.
There is a motion on the floor. I would like to call the vote.
I can make a suggestion, you call it an omnibus motion that covers all the amendments that have been made.
That word.
Whoa, there's a new one for me.
Spell that, please.
Omnibus, yeah, well, it's, okay. Let me see if I get this right, Dave. I am requesting that we call an omnibus vote.
Motions and amendments.
For the motions and amendments.
One fell swoop.
Okay.
So is this on, are we all meeting, or are we, or is the board deciding?
The vote is we would like to call a special meeting to go, to sum up what the motion and the amendments are, is we would like to call a special meeting to reevaluate the bylaws with the membership prior to submitting them to the government, giving this board time to look at all sets of the bylaws, as we're a new board and there has been some very crucial changes that have happened within. So it gives us time to create bylaws and work with Stan to make sure that they're going to work with the elevator. Just to sum it up.
Is everyone clear on what was stated? Okay. Okay. Now, what I would like to do here, like this part where it says the motion to members follow the board.
We need to give a timeline.
Because I have what you said about it, and then Ray was saying yes, and Ray agreed.
Okay, what I would suggest we do here is that the motion essentially is that we call a special meeting
to discuss
and approve
proposed bylaws.
Discuss proposed bylaws. Sorry.
Discuss and approve boards.
Discuss and approve bylaws prior to going to.
But board.
Board.
Prior to submitting them.
Maybe a special meeting with the membership?
Yes. Board proposed bylaws prior to submitting.
And I will read them again and then ask for your vote. The board calls, the omnibus motion is this, that the board calls a special meeting with the membership to discuss and approve board proposed bylaws prior to submitting for government approval. All in favor? Any opposed?
One.
None. One opposed. Okay.
Motion carried.
Motion carried. Thank you. Now, Norm, there was another?
Ray did make a second motion. You could ask him if he wanted to withdraw it or.
You made a motion that, and I can't remember now exactly what it was, but something effective that we just allow the board to do what we needed to do. Was that what the motion was?
I think that was just a suggestion.
Okay. Okay. So in the formality of it, I would ask you if you wanted to withdraw your motion, but if it's a suggestion,
then we don't have to
understood. Okay. Thank you. Then, yes. Yes, please.
This is a different topic.
Okay. Well, go.
Different?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I am all for the new board and all of that good stuff. But I am wondering who is taking on which roles? Do you know who?
We're deciding that right after this meeting.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, and are we going to be notified?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Like tonight? Like tomorrow or something? Like when the actual positions are filled? Or?
I would say it's unlikely that we will notify you of it yet tonight by email. I don't know.
I think. No, just like, I meant quickly, I guess,
yes.
instead of like a month from now.
Oh, No, well, I would say my interest as, again, we don't know who's chairman yet, or president of the board, or whatever, however this goes, whatever it's called. But as a board member, I'm keenly interested in letting people know what we're doing. Transparency and building trust and confidence in this is priority. Yes, Dave?
Once the AGM is concluded, and it will be soon as we finish this special resolution thing, the AGM will be concluded. At that time, then the board has decided that they're going to have a board meeting. People are welcome to stay for the board meeting under our current laws, okay, but you do not have a voice in that. So I'm going home.
Okay, but thank you for, it's through things like this that we become educated, and it's important. The country wouldn't be where it is right now if we had more questions asked years ago. That's not related to this meeting. Okay, then the next item is special resolution, termination of society membership.
What is that?
Now, I don't have a copy, what's that? Sorry, this is on the bottom. Yeah. There, underneath bylaws, special resolution. So I don't have a copy of the special resolution. Oh, boy. What's that?
Get onto the,
It was on the original agenda.
but yeah, so, but why was that put on the agenda?
Well,
It was from the original board, prior to us being voted on, so we're not sure. So we're looking.
okay.
Dave's looking.
So given what was going on, and I want to be respectful of all of this, but I think we need to be straight, because the members on the board, and which included Stan, were at a, what's it called, loggerhead? Yeah. So they just couldn't move anywhere, and it was kind of like a stalemate. And so then this item arose out of an effort to try and do something about it. So that, whether it was what they wanted to do or not, but or what all members wanted to do or not was maybe not the issue, but when somebody wants someone else out of the way, this was one of the ways in which that was going to be accomplished. Yes?
Brad, if I could, I think there's a little more specific legalities involved in that resolution than might have been expressed. Under the Societies Act, it is illegal, inappropriate, and unethical for a member of the society to be gaining private benefit from the actions of that society. So if the only way for this society to legally, ethically, morally, if you will, give, donate, support Stan in fixing the roof because he is the owner, he really shouldn't be a member of the society. I don't think it is so much that they want him out. They simply wanted to dot the i's and cross the t's that made it eligible for under the Societies Act. We have bosses, we have regulators watching what we do. There are regulations on what we do with the lotteries, money that we get. So I think, and any of the previous board members, not the older board members, any of the previous board members, if I am speaking out of turn, or if I am wrong, please tell me, please clarify. But it was done to try to maintain the legitimacy of the bylaws that the Societies Act require us to work under.
Yes, James.
Yes, I've heard these allegations against Stan before, and yet all they are is allegations, and I've never seen any proof of these allegations that Stan's been taking money on the side. So those are big allegations to make.
No, that was not, sir,
That
that
was
was
not-
not the allegation at all.
Well, that's what it sounded like from what you
Well,
just
then you were
said.
listening with only one ear, because what I talked about was the roof on the elevator that Stan owns. I think Stan owns the elevator, at least that's what I'm told. The society is a separate entity to help preserve the elevator. So the society giving money to the elevator, sorry Joey, which is owned by Stan, is increasing the value of the elevator. And yes, I understand it's been an ongoing argument, that yes, it was just fine. And under the Societies Act, it really isn't.
The society is supposed to be preserving the elevator. That's the whole point of the society.
Catch-22.
Is preserving the elevator. That's the number one and should be the sole focus of the society.
You're not wrong.
So that it doesn't matter.
No, just hang on. Barbara Lynn.
Point.
Okay, sorry.
Excuse me, there is a point of order. I would urge the membership to speak only when you are recognized by our chair, so that we can have a discussion and an order to this. So Brad is our chair and he can recognize you rather than people speaking out. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara Lynn. Just thanks for bearing with me and bringing that up. Thank you. Yes, Jim.
I just want to ask one question. What value does a 1923 restored elevator have that is not on its own property? How are you increasing the value of something, and what is the saleable? So how, I'm just curious how an owner of that elevator will ever benefit.
Yes, Clint.
Just speaking on what Norm was saying there, I think what you're reading in, like, and making an allegation, what Norm is saying is just the legalities of the society on somebody owning and being part of the society. It's like a conflict of interest thing to do with the society. So this is not a personal attack here. This is just following the rules of somebody being a member of society and receiving money to something they own, increasing the value of it. I think that's what Norm is saying.
How is their value? What is their?
You're speaking to value, but we're speaking of just the rules of society. We're not speaking of value in anything, it's just the society itself. So that's what Norm is saying is.
You said that it was increasing, the owner of the property was benefiting from the society's, and I just want to understand how there's a benefit.
Well,
I see a huge,
Jim.
I see a huge risk. I see a huge risk, bigger risk than I see a benefit. So I just wanted clarification.
Point of clarification, Jim. Thank you.
Brandy, speak.
So what they're saying is, so Stan is the owner of the numbered company, okay? So you have the numbered company who is owned by Stan, and then he is also a member of the society. By removing him as the member of the society, now the monies is no longer going directly from him to him. Does that make sense? It does not increase the value of the property because the property itself maintains no value, being on land that is not owned by him.
So what's the conflict?
The conflict of interest is because being both a member of the society, which is creating the cash flow, and the owner of the building in title, money is going from him to him. It can be perceived as laundering. To avoid that, you remove Stan as a member. He's still very active. He's just not a member obtaining monies in his building, not in his bank account, on his building. It takes out that legality because it's not money coming from him going to him, if that makes sense.
So
It's a law.
So
James, please.
Yes. So as owner of the thing, he would have no say by being kicked out of the membership. He's the owner and he would have no say, vote or anything about what would happen to that elevator.
This is why during the first meeting, first part of the AGM, we wanted to make Stan curator. That gives him a voice to talk about what needs to be done at that building. He is the one that knows what needs to be done. He is the one that has to tell us,
Yes.
we need this fixed, this fixed, this fixed.
But the board isn't required to listen to his requests.
Following underneath the mandate of what the board is set out to do, yes, we do. Because at the end of the day, our mandate is to maintain that building. If we don't maintain that building, then why are we here?
Okay.
Right.
Well, if that's in writing, as him as a curator you do have to
And that's
follow
why
what
we
he
want a
requests.
chance to redo the bylaws to make sure that Stan can be included in these decisions,
Yeah.
because we need Stan's leadership. We need to know what needs to go on.
Yeah, they are simply issues of integrity as it relates to the Societies Act. And that's really the long and the short of it. There's another, the same thing happens like in my industry when somebody wants to, let's say we want to benefit somebody with car repair and they want to donate to it. I cannot do that at my shop because I am receiving the money from somebody and I am determining who's getting it.
Sure.
And so this is having integrity with that, and it's because this is on a small scale, but we are humans subject to the opportunity and the money laundering. This is one of the ways in which money gets laundered corporately in very large scale. So this is why those things come into place, and now we are simply at risk of being held blamed for it by an outside body should they become curiously interested.
Well, it seems to have worked for the last how many years since
We
Stan
don't
bought
disagree.
that
Yeah.
elevator.
Yeah.
I just don't see why
We
you
don't-
kick him out at this point.
We don't disagree. The problem comes in is there's too many voices that are pointing the finger at Stan, saying Stan's doing this, Stan's doing this, Stan's doing this. We now need to protect both Stan and the society
And the elevator. Yeah.
and the elevator.
Yeah. So that is what we are to, Mr. Robinson.
Okay, and just so everybody knows, there has been some confusion in the past. It was not common knowledge for the past 20 years that Stan was the owner of the structure. Unfortunately, whether you call it deliberate, whether you call it accidental, it was convenient to not inform people of that. So to the point where board members were not informed that they were fundraising for a building that did not belong to the society. It was commonly accepted in Stettler that the elevator belonged to the society, and certain people that had information chose not to reveal that. So unfortunately, decisions were made in the past thinking that everything was fine and, you know, the society was covered and was operating underneath the laws and regulations, both Societies Act, Canada Revenue Agency, etc. So while things didn't blow up, if you will, for the past few years, when an attempt was made by the previous board to resolve the issue, then everything hit the fan and the fingers were pointing and so forth. Now, just for the clarification, because I'm not sure how many of you were actually at the AGM in the March of last year, the offer was made for $1 to purchase the elevator structures from Stan, and they would be transferred to the society. That would have resolved the conflict because the society would then be the full owner of the structure. Stan could have continued to be not just a member, but he could have been the president if everybody felt that he was doing a good job. He chose at that time not to pursue that. Now, it's unfortunate that Stan decided to leave 5 minutes ago and not participate in this discussion. But at that point, the options for the society, as per the regulatory bodies that put the rules in place, was Stan either was no longer the owner and the society could carry on like most other organizations of this type have done, or he would have to be removed as a member and a new relationship established between the society and Stan and Sharon as owners of the building, and that would be to put in place a lease agreement, agreement on cost sharing, who supervises employees, you know, who pays insurance, who pays the electrical bill, but a whole set of things that have never been in place that unfortunately the society was not operating appropriately in the past, and a change needs to be made. That falls on the shoulders of these people now.
Thanks, Dale. And Elf.
I wasn't going to speak, but I guess we should go a little deeper into the history of this elevator. The elevator was sent to be destroyed and removed by the P&H Elevator Corporation. At the time, it signed into agreement with them to take it over. The P&H Elevator Society, under agreement with Stan, at a very nominal price, turned their lease over to Stan. And as well, they turned over to Stan the funds they had set aside to tear down the elevator and dispose of it, restore it, which is required under their contract with the railroad. To clarify this thing a little bit more, neither the P&H Elevator Society or Stan own the properties. The property belongs to Mr. Gillespie. Under Alberta law, because it is a permanent structure on railway property, it is his. Now, in this interim period from 2008 to now, the elevator ownership under Stan and Mr. Gillespie have stayed under the terms of the old P&H agreement. They have never been rewrote between Mr. Gillespie and Mr. Michael. You want to add more to it, the new building, while the building permit was taken out by the society, has never been signed as a lease with either the P&H elevator, which really can't do it, or Mr. Gillespie. So it is, in all sense and purposes, the total property of Don Gillespie. There is no other owner.
The land is,
So-
the elevator
Yes.
stands.
You know, the elevators that stand to take down.
That's not how I understood it, but
Well,
anyways,
Yeah.
The
I'm not gonna argue with
Yeah.
Well, the original contract with the elevator companies and the railways was when the elevator was to be abandoned as an elevator, it had to be taken down, removed, and ground put to neutral. And that's in the contract that Stan holds. Because it was transferred to him entirely from the P&H Society, or Elevator Corporation.
Well, I've heard differently.
Well, I'm not arguing what you've heard.
Well, okay, we'll
Yeah.
just agree to disagree.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the last comment I would make is that the final results of this whole thing lie with one man. Not with you, not with Stan, not with that board. It's in Don Gillespie's hands. For his to do as he damn well wants.
Okay, thank you, Elf. And yes, ma'am.
After hearing Alf's explanation, then I have a question, because if Don Gillespie is, for all intents and purposes, the owner of the elevator with all of the authority over it, then why can't Stan be a member of the society if he is not the owner in that sense? Like, then Don Gillespie shouldn't be the owner, I mean, of the society.
There,
I've brought this up before. A non-for-profit society can hold an asset that is owned personally, as long as that individual is not claiming nominal value, like they're not physically receiving cash. There is nothing wrong with it. There's nothing illegal about it whatsoever. The problem is coming in with all the accusations. In order to protect Stan, we feel, or they felt, my understanding, is it was best to terminate his society membership because he refuses to sign over the elevator. Even though there is nothing illegal in the nonprofit society stating that an entity cannot be owned privately. He owns it. He is not, there's no record to state that he has taken a single dime. And until I see otherwise, there is no record to state he has taken a single dime. The fact that the non-for-profit society is using funds to repair the building, the point is moot. He is personally not gaining. He cannot physically pick up that building and move it. If you look at the P&H elevator contract, it clearly states he cannot just pick up that building and move it. So he is not gaining anything personally.
Or sell it.
He can't sell it either. It has to go back to P&H. We have actually looked into it. We've actually spoke to property lawyers, and property law, you're not wrong, Elf, property law states, other than the elevator, all those other buildings are Don Gillespie's because it's his land.
Now, just, we got
So it
Mr.,
doesn't
just,
belong to
hold,
Mr.
just,
Stan.
just.
The
hold
elevator
it.
itself belongs to Stan's numbered company.
Okay, just-
Not Stan, his numbered company,
Yeah.
which he is, it's a corporation, which means he is separate from it. It's a
Okay.
corporation, it's a holding company.
So it's not a conflict of
Nope.
interest?
Nope.
Just-
For him to be a member?
Just hold it, please. Just hold it, please. Now, I don't know which one of you was first, Mr. Robinson or Elf. Elf.
I was first, but go ahead.
Okay.
Finish your question. Or if it was Alf.
Elf, go for it.
As a point of law, having went through this with other entities, Stan unfortunately is a beneficiary because if the P&H Elevator Society did not contribute funds to its operation or its repairs, he would have to bear the financial responsibility to do it himself. So, you know, you're arguing that he's actually something himself directly. He has not. As a matter of fact, he's lost a whole lot personally.
Exactly.
But the problem lies in that he, as owner, still benefits by the payments because they're made on his behalf to fix the elevator. And in terms of law, that makes him entitled.
Yeah.
But this is where your problem lies.
Yeah.
It's not an easy solution, what we bring here. Jimmy Schurzman was a neighbor of mine. He negotiated at one time to make a donation of $125,000 out of his estate to the Stettler P&H Elevator Society. He reneged on that just before death and changed it to the museum on the basis that he didn't feel that the society or Stan owned the property, and he's right. And so we go round and round on this thing here. The issue is not an easy one to resolve. It's not an easy one to come to grips with. But it's time we come to make some kind of decision. Now, operationally, Stan still controls the lease. He should have a right to a whole lot of things that go on there. I'm not going to dispute that with anybody. The issue in terms of this is that you're dealing with some other entities besides your community. One of them is the Lotteries Board, who I think is already starting to raise questions about what are you doing with the money. And another one is the Internal Revenue, Canada Revenue, in terms of the use of the certificates. I think both of them are not, well, I know if one of them really knew the truth, you would not be able to write a certificate for if you did. It's hopefully.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Alf. Thank you for that. And now, Dale?
Yes, just really quickly, further to Brandy, unfortunately, while the Societies Act and other statutes for not-for-profits in Alberta have a little bit of leeway, and if there were valid operating agreements in place, we could probably smooth this over. The Canada Revenue Agency is quite strict on this, and Alf's point, unfortunately, is that not just the society would have their charitable status revoked and would no longer be able to write the charitable donation receipts. But the assets, because this society has taken donations from individuals under the Canada Revenue Agency legislation, the society would be wound up and all assets would be sold,
donated or liquidated to other registered charities. So this is a drop dead. If Canada Revenue Agency had audited how the society was operating in any one of the past 20 years, this society would have already lost their charitable status. Right now, the board has a very quick two-step, or whatever you want to call it, that they have to do to make sure that they take whatever steps are necessary to get the society back in compliance so that they can sign the form and send it in every year to CRA saying, this is the honest information and we are doing things properly according to the income tax and all the other laws and regulations of Canada. So, Mr. Scheerschmidt, it would be great if we could just all get along and work it out as a community. CRA will not give you that opportunity. And, sorry, that threat to the society is important. We're not talking about kicking Stan out of town. We're not talking about not consulting him. What we're saying is there's legalities that we have to follow whether we like it or not if we want to operate as a society.
And one of the things, just to add to that, I think that I should retract the comment that I made before of get Stan out of the way. I inferred that from my culmination of things, and that's not a wise remark. And what I see out of all of this is to operate above reproach, to operate in integrity with all of those outside factors, because they weigh in when we want to receive monies from outside. All of these things come into the play. And it's, if we didn't have any of that happening, we could carry on merrily like we are. But when you've got all of that being involved, it gets challenged. We've got to bring integrity up to this whole picture. So in short, we're at, I think we're at 9 o'clock now. Yeah, 5 after. So on this item with the special resolution, is there, can you give us, board, the confidence to move ahead with resolving this issue?
And keeping Stan on the board.
Yeah.
We don't want to remove his membership.
On the board?
Well, not on the board, but on the membership.
We do want.
Have him as a past president.
Or the curator thing, let's discuss that.
You can do it as an honorary president.
I'm sorry, Jim.
Just a suggestion, can we table this to the special meeting that we're gonna have with the bylaws? No?
We just want.
Give the board a chance to come up with a resolution with Stan to be presented.
The motion I would like to make is that in regards to the special resolution termination of society membership, I move that we do not terminate Stan Icarn's membership to the board.
I second it.
Dave.
Just a point of information, there are many elevator and elevator societies across the prairies where they are privately owned, and there has been no problem with either the CRA or the Societies Act in regards to that. And if you don't believe me, check with Alberta Grain Elevator Societies, AGIS as it's called, and they will tell you that exact thing.
Better yet, why don't we contact the ones, sorry, out of order.
Just hang on. Mrs. Reardon, is that right?
Okay, here, we're going back to what we did at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And it's getting old. Stop pointing fingers. I thought we voted this board in there, and we entrusted them in taking these issues forward.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
The comment that was made about the curator from the first meeting, it was a suggestion from me. I've done my research. I think he is founder and curator. Just my suggestion. I have been given some other suggestions in print that I've handed to a board member because I wasn't going to stand up here and give somebody else's information. That's just some suggestions. Now you guys take it away, do your job. And in doing that, I don't expect it to be in a week a month. You guys need a little bit of time. You don't even know who your president is yet. You know nothing. And with that, I think I'm gonna leave because
So my, yes.
You'll like this one.
Joey, please.
Mrs. Reardon, would you make a motion that summarizes what you just said, and I will second that? And then maybe the chairman, we could vote on it and move on.
You have a motion on the floor.
Thanks for watching. And yes, I was.
And I will second Randy's motion.
It already has been.
It already has been.
Okay.
Well, then, you can call the question.
Okay. So there is a motion on the floor that we do not terminate Stan's membership to
No, to the member.
to the society. There is.
Question. Call the question.
Sorry. Questions on that, discussions to that point.
No,
What
I'm calling
motion?
the question. There was no discussion forthcoming. I have called the question, and we need to vote.
Okay.
Either pass or fail.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. I got it. I catch it on now. Thank you. Okay. A motion that we do not terminate Stat's membership to the society. All in favor? All opposed?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Was that 10? 10 opposed?
Put your hands up again, please. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Sorry, clarify, Mr. Chairman.
13.
11.
So all four again, put your hands up again, please. $20, 24, 13 against, carried.
24 for and 13 20?
In favor.
20 in favor.
13 against.
Motion's carried.
Motion carried.
You have to put, yeah, you got the, okay. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Yes, Ray.
I would just like to make another suggestion, not a motion, that anybody that gets involved in this society from this day forward, the first thing that they have to know is that Dan Eichhorn's company owns that elevator. We moved to town in 2019. We worked there for 5 years, volunteering, put in lots of hours, doing things, and never were told, never knew that Stan's company owned that elevator until we contacted the P&H company in Saskatchewan and were told that it was sold to him for $1. So I think that's one thing that everybody has to know when they get involved.
So it should be a part of the information of the society. Here's who we are and here's what we do.
It's owned by a holding company, which is
Yes.
100% legal.
I would just like to make a comment that I know from being a tour guide at the elevator and going on many tours with Stan, that it is a common point of his tours that he does say, in 2003, I bought this elevator from P&H for $1, and we formed this society to care for it. So I'd just like to put that information out there as well.
Thank you. Well, and thank you for your, all the effort you put in being a tour guide over there. It's nice. I appreciate the interest you've had in it. Yes, Clint.
Just a point of discussion on that. I think there's, like, through the society, some of the grants, stuff like that, there has to be some leases put in place, some legality of leases. So I think as the board, and I speak for the board, that there's gonna be movement in that direction to get some real clarification and actually try to get some physical documents signed, some leases between the railway, Stan, the board, on the specific buildings, that sort of thing, so that, like they said with CRA or lotteries or whoever, if we're required to have a physical lease in place on some of this stuff, that we get that sorted out. That might require some meetings with Mr. Gillespie and stuff like that, but hopefully we can advance in that direction. So those things are signed and in place in the books in the office as well, so something we'll strive to put in place for sure. So I think that'll help clarify a lot of this stuff, and everybody is, they own this, but nobody's actually sitting here with physical documents saying, we can actually be in this place, or this sits on this property and that sort of thing. So hopefully we strive to put that on paper so everybody sees it. So, yeah.
One more, I'm gonna take one more comment from Kathy Raridan, and then we are going to adjourn.
Exactly, Clint. It all comes back to me saying, we've got our board, it's in your hands, totally trust. Like whatever, you know all the ins and outs, you know what's gone on, that's in the past, we're moving forward, and you will solve it. Thank you.
And with that, I adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone. Go love your neighbor as yourself.